India has reacted to the US calling off talks with the Taliban. India has expressed support for the UN Secretary General's call for direct talks with the Taliban. Indian envoy to the United Nations offices in New York, Syed Akbaruddin, has said, and I quote, "Now, if it is the Afghan people who will implement and bear the consequences of any agreements arrived at, hence outcomes having constitutional legitimacy and a political mandate, and which are arrived at in an inclusive and democratic way alone, can ensure stability," unquote. The Indian envoy has also called for an atmosphere free of terror and pushed for peace and reconciliation. He said that the safe havens enjoyed by Taliban and other groups such as Al-Qaeda, Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed must also be addressed. Now, the Indian envoy also said that acts of terror were being used to jockey for a place of advantage in the negotiating process. Remember, there has been a surge in violence in Afghanistan despite the peace talks led by the United States. In a car bomb explosion last Thursday, Taliban killed an American soldier and 11 others in a busy diplomatic area near the US embassy in Kabul. Now, Trump called off talks after the latest attack. The ordinary Afghan has been longing for peace for many decades now. They saw a glimmer of hope in the talks between the US and the Taliban. But now, with Trump calling off the talks, Afghans are pondering their future. The presidential election is slated for the 28th of this month, but it comes with fears of renewed violence by the Taliban.
They're dead. They're dead. As far as I'm concerned, they're dead.
Donald Trump says peace talks with the Taliban are dead. His Afghan counterpart, Ashraf Ghani, says talks are impossible without a truce. The cancellation of the talks has put the spotlight on the 28th September presidential election in Afghanistan. Ashraf Ghani will run again for president against a fairly long list of candidates, including his chief executive Abdullah Abdullah and former National Security Advisor Hanif Atmar. Abdullah Abdullah has said that the cancellation of the talks might offer an opportunity for peace. In the past, Abdullah has said that he would drop out of the race if it would help peace efforts. For his part, President Ashraf Ghani has said that if he wins, he would be willing to step down afterward in favor of an interim government or other arrangement to further peace negotiations. At the same time, Ghani said that an electoral victory would give him a strong mandate to face the Taliban as a legitimate ruler. Ghani's term ended months ago, but he remains in power. The country's top court extended his term after the 20th July presidential election was postponed. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that Afghanistan's volatile security situation is highly concerning. He cited direct threats to the presidential election by anti-government elements that may discourage many Afghans from voting. Meanwhile, Trump took to Twitter to say that the US has been hitting Taliban targets much harder over the last 4 days. US military reports indicate that Trump may in fact be correct. US General Kenneth McKenzie, who is the head of the US Central Command, said that they had been ramping up operations against the Taliban. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
North Korea media has released pictures of its leader Kim Jong-un overseeing the testing of a super-large multiple rocket launcher. Now, it is the 8th launch since the meeting between US President Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un at the demilitarized zone. Now, Kim Jong-un, who had guided the testing of the same multiple rocket launcher before, said that its capabilities have been finally verified in terms of combat operation. According to the South Korean military, the projectiles were fired from the South Pyongyang province. The two new short-range projectiles flew for over 330 kilometers in an easterly direction. The timing of this launch is strange in many ways, and it sets it apart from previous ones. Now, all of North Korea's launches last month were a mark of protest against the military exercises between the US and South Korea. But this time, the launch comes hours after North Korea expressed a willingness to restart talks with the US. Now, reports indicate that these tests show North Korea's growing military prowess, and many of the new missiles are capable of evading interception by the US, South Korea and Japan. Now, Trump has said that he had taken note of the launches, but did not comment further. Remember, in the past, Trump has extended a long rope to North Korea whenever such launches had been carried out.